Good morning, everyone. It's Ann from Suburban Prairie Homemaker. Today we're doing a visit to my neighbor's garden that I'm helping her with this summer to answer a question someone had the other day about how do you incorporate beauty into food production. Stay tuned. So this is my neighbor's garden. We're working on it together this year. They're trying to reclaim it from just clay and weeds and try to make it more manageable for one person. Also to have it produce a more reasonable amount of produce for one person. So let me just show you, we'll kind of walk around here a little bit. See, those are sunflowers. Look how tall they're getting. Here's some zinnias and the tomatoes and the bell pepper in that corner pot too. Yes, there's weeds. We're working on that. That kind of blew up overnight, so because we went from one of the coldest, rainiest springs we've had on record to triple-digit heat indices, and that is just no fun for anybody. So anyway, so let's take a tour and try to answer this person's question. So let's start in the corner where we have these tomatoes. These are going to be orange tomatoes when they get fully ripe. And down in the front, you can see there's a bell pepper plant. And of course we have the zinnias. Now these aren't just here because they're pretty and they're one of my favorite flowers to grow. And oh, by the way, I just happen to have those seeds piling up in my garage. They're here for a reason. These plants are companion plants that help keep away cabbage moths by drawing in wasps that lay their eggs in the cabbage worms and other worms as well. And then as the eggs grow, they literally eat the bug from the creepy crawler from the inside out. I know it's gross, but it's true. So let me show you this too. This is our little this is our little cover crop patch, which actually needs a little bit of harvesting, so we can reuse it. This is growing your own fertilizer, folks. If you have a garden, you should totally have a cover crop patch and be using cover crops in with the rest of your gardening. Let me show you down in here so you can see this. We've got some red clover and alfalfa in there. These are tillage radishes, which are they're a form of a daikon radish. You could totally use regular daikon radishes. They make a long root which just drills a hole in the clay like nothing else can. They also suck up all the nitrogen that the clover and the alfalfa are drawing out of the atmosphere and putting into the ground. So the clover and the alfalfa suck that nitrogen out of the air. They're sending it over to the radish stores it and then releases it as it rots over the winter. And the grass is a green plant that's growing, so it too is pulling things out of the air, putting them in the ground. Nice root system to help break up the soil as well. And when you cut off the tops of it, it grows more roots in proportion to how much is cut off the top. I definitely need to give this a haircut because we can also use what we cut off as fertilizer, right? Compost is 2 parts brown to 1 part green. There's your 1 part green right there, and that can go in the planter boxes. Now we also did sunflowers because they are beautiful. They bring in birds and bees and just add a lot to the garden as far as that quality. They have a huge deep tap root that's going to help us to also bust up the clay that's in here. And they put phosphorus in the soil. That's their job. But in addition, they look really pretty in the process. So again, adding beauty to food production. This is just a little decoration, because there's no rule that says you can't put a garden bench in your garden. Think about that a little bit. This is a few cucumber plants, and no, they're not flowers in the traditional sense, but they are really pretty. I mean, look at all those yellow blooms all over there. Plus, they're going to make delicious cucumbers and pickles this fall. And this corner, this is really pretty, I think. my friend wanted to grow eggplants, and I don't know if you can see the beautiful purple blooms on them as well as the fruit that's dripping down there. To go along with that, I put in some, this is perennial sage. We have some beautiful yellow astilbe, so we use some color wheel stuff here. So here's a purple, here's a yellow, those are complementary colors. And then those that's a coxcomb. And I don't know if you can see really well, but the original leaves that were on these were a gorgeous magenta color. So a little bit more of that pinkish purple to come out. There's no rule that says you can't put flowers in a vegetable garden. So this is like my favorite corner because it's just so pretty. All right, so we're gonna move on. Another way to add beauty to your production is mixing up the colors of your vegetables as well. If you think about it, a cucumber is kind of a bright green, zucchini is kind of a dark green. Tomatoes come in every color of the rainbow now. You know, mix and match, throw in color wherever you can. This is more tomatoes and more zinnias. These tomatoes are going to be purple when they're done. We're still waiting. The first little guys that came on here had blossom end rot. So we had to fix that. We got rid of those. Now it's growing some more. Hopefully they're going to stay nice for us the rest of the season. And here's something else I want to show you too. Speaking of beauty in your food production. This is a type of sweet pepper and it's called candy stripe. And I'm going to hold up the leaf closer because we're kind of looking into the sun. Let's see if I can. There we go. Can you see that it's variegated? Right? The leaves are green and white. Here's the pepper. Here's the pepper. It's green and white striped too. We had a taste test of the first one that ripened and the word was delicious. So keep that in mind. Also, beauty in your food production. Don't mind my shadow. Don't be afraid to use really pretty containers. See those? Aren't they nice? I had to drill holes in them to give them proper drainage. But with these geraniums, that beautiful tall thing in the background, these two worked out really well. The other one, not so much. But those are potatoes growing in that pot. The geraniums are there to help keep away the Japanese beetles. They don't work perfectly, but you know what? I can throw a couple beetles in a bucket of soapy water. I'd rather only have to manage a couple beetles versus, you know, I don't know, hundreds of them. So once they're in the soapy water, they dissolve, and then I can use that water to water the plants. Those bugs stole nutrients out of my plants. I'm going to take it back, plain and simple. So that's the containers. And something else I'm really excited about that you'll find quite lovely. Again, notice that there's color here. It's not just green. We have purple basil. We have purple sage. That yellow stuff that you see growing is chard. You can buy, I believe the name on the packet says Bright Lights from Baker Creek. Whatever seed company you feel comfortable using, use them. But you can see, look at the beautiful yellow color with the purple plants. And trust me, we've harvested chard out of here like crazy this summer. It's been a good year for that. We have the beautiful bright green with the yellow and the purple. Again, think about your color wheel. So that looks really pretty. And then on this end, I didn't show you. This adds adds texture, right? If you're an interior designer, they talk about, you know, making sure you have color and texture. This is, I believe it was either English or French thyme, but it's kind of scruffy looking. You can see it adds a little bit of texture. Also had some of that out of here this summer. Abso-freaking-lutely delicious. You will absolutely love it. So again, you know, one other way to add a little beauty to your food production. We're obviously not done with this garden yet. It's a rebuilding year, and anybody who lives in Chicago knows that a rebuilding year is just not as pretty as it could be. That's a zucchini plant. But you can see we're putting in little walkways in here. There's mulch around all the plants. That's not only better for the soil and the plants, but it helps with the weeding too. This side obviously has a lot less weeds than the side that hasn't been mulched yet. But you know, zucchinis and other ones of the cucurbit family, they put out these amazing flowers. You saw the cucumbers. These put out those big yellowish orange tube-looking type flowers when they bloom. We've already had our first zucchini off that plant. This one's a bush type. So if you're looking to mix and match to get a little different, you know, different levels of height to draw the eye, that's another element of design that would help your food production look beautiful. And of course, here's a cute little milk can. Don't mind the giant weed next to it. Again, weeding is an ongoing thing, and just trying to get back in ahead of this today. But you know, why not decorate your garden? Why not? There's no rule that says you can't put a milk can in your garden. There's no rule that says you can't put flowers in your vegetable garden. And I'm telling you, if you use companion planting, that works so well and it looks so beautiful. You saw the zinnias and the geraniums. Those are really pretty if you need, and of course the flowers around the eggplants. Feel free to plant what feeds your soul as well as what feeds your family. That's the best rule of gardening. Plant what feeds your soul and feeds your family. Plain and simple. Make it look beautiful how you want. If you don't want straight lines in your garden, then use curvy lines. There's no law, or no laws, no rules. It's your garden. Plant it how you think you want it to look. Obviously, it's way easier to go and pick a long row of 50 carrots, but if you want to put carrots in a couple different corners just to have that frilly top of them with some other plants to add some texture or color, by all means, do it. Don't let, a strict production model hold you back from being creative and having fun. That's the main reason to garden, is to have fun. It's good for you in more ways than one. Anyway, you folks have a great weekend. This is Ann from Suburban Prairie Homemaker. Be sure you hit like and subscribe, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.